Before we get started, let me know what comics you'd like for me to make a video on. Sound off in the comments. And if this is your first time checking out my channel, consider clicking subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers and tap the bell so you know when I post up. What's up, YouTubers? It's Ernie, Blerd Without Fear. Okay, so last time we left off with Dark Knight's Metal number 5, the Justice League was literally in dire straits. In this book, the Wild Hunt actually does some weird stuff because this is not 100% written by Scott Snyder. We have guest writing in by Grant Morrison, and as we all know, Grant Morrison, he can get pretty damn insane when it comes to his writing, which is both a blessing and a curse to him, but fortunately in this book, it is the former, not the latter. Okay, so this book picks up somewhere you wouldn't really expect, and it's with a character by the name Detective Chimp. He showed up, I want to say it was in Dark Knight's Metal number 3. Some of you may be familiar with him, some of you may not. Detective Chimp, or Bobo if you're nasty. We kind of get a retelling of his origin story. Bobo was basically being held in a carnival and abused, kicked around, beaten, pretty much just for being what he is. And this isn't the first time they've retconned Detective Chimp's origin. They did it back in Day of Vengeance. That was back in 2005. And I'm not familiar with that one either, because honestly, Detective Chimp's is not a character I've ever really followed. I'm more of a cape chaser, if anyone can tell. Basically what they did is they kind of flipped it on its head a little bit. The whole deal with Fred Thor, he's the only person who doesn't treat Bobo like he's just some damn dirty ape. But he's killed, but as a kind of a last act of defiance, Fred opens the gate that is holding Bobo in his cage, and Bobo gets free, and that's when we get reintroduced to Rex the Wonder Dog, which is another character who is kind of from Detective Chimp's history. Basically, Grant Morrison has been reaching back into the silver age of comics and has just been pulling things out for almost seemingly no reason, but there is a reason. It's just that it's insane. It is insanity. When you read a book with Grant Morrison's name on it, do you really ask why? But Rex the Wonder Dog leads him to the Fountain of Youth, and when Bobo drinks from it, this is when he gets the prolonged life, he gets increased intelligence, and he uses that intelligence to find Fred's killer. And kind of throughout a lot of this, it kind of is just a way of letting you know how this character became the savant that he is. The problem is that increased intelligence is starting to wax and wane because of the destruction going on with the multiverse and how everything is falling apart. So Bobo is not quite as useful as he once was. And this is kind of weighing on Bobo because he feels useless. And I mean, you can't really blame him for feeling that way because he is surrounded by some of the smartest minds in the DC universe right now. He's surrounded by Professor Ivo, Professor Tio Morrow, Dr. Savannah, Veronica Cale. And I mean, the list just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, it kind of sucks for him right now. They're on Black Hawk Island trying to figure out a way to stop the destruction that's coming, and for all they're trying, they can't get it done. Things are getting messed up so bad that the boiling point for water is even changing. Everything is just getting proper fucked. At this point, they try to reach out to the heroes, and this is something that I was actually kind of surprised no one brought up in the last couple of videos. Like, no one really asked the question, and I didn't either. Where have the Flash and Cyborg and Raven been? And well, now we finally get that answer. They have been in the Bleed, which is essentially a nexus for the multiverse, and sometimes maybe considered like limbo. They're on the Ultima Thule, which is a vessel capable of traveling through the Bleed, and it's not working out for them either. Like, everybody is failing in all phases of the game. Like, no matter what they're doing, Raven is using all her power to try and keep the vessel together, because the Ultima Thule is essentially a vessel built of living music. We also get mentioned from Raven that the vessel is trying to default back to its owner, who's none other than Nyx Uaton, the super judge, who is literally the last of the monitors. And I feel like that one's kind of a deep cut, but I mean, I'm on board for it. Are we getting a tease that we're going to see Super Judge back? I mean, I'm not going to be fucked up about it if we do, but I'm just saying. And they decide that, okay, all right, cool, let's let this happen. Let's make this a thing. Let's let the vessel go back to Super Judge. Let's get to the Hall of Heroes. Heroes. But of course, the Batman Who Laughs was not gonna let them get there willy-nilly, and of course he shows up with the other Dark Knights, and they have been unloading a payload of missile after missile after missile against the Ultima Thule in the form of this dark cacophony of music. Where the story really gets good is when the Dark Knights of the Dark Multiverse go after the crew of the Ultima Thule, and Dawnbreaker comes in and he tries to use Blackout on Raven. And the thing that Dawnbreaker doesn't realize is that Raven is born of darkness. Like, literally, she reminds him that my father is Trigon. You are literally talking to a daughter of hell. There's nothing you can do that can scare me. When Dawnbreaker tries to use the power on her, she turns it back on him, taking control of his blackout constructs and throwing them right back at him, and to the point that she actually turns Dawnbreaker's constructs of his mother and father against him. I was like, dude, this is why I kept saying that, like, when we did the Bats Out of Hell story arc, this is why I said Raven deserves to have a spot on the Justice League. If there is, and I know that, you know, with No Justice coming up, there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking. There's a lot of characters that are going to get shifted around, but honestly, she deserves to have a spot on that team because she has outgrown the Teen Titans. She is literally, to pardon my term, she is the glass cannon that the Justice League does not have. She proves how much of a badass she is, taking down both Dawnbreaker and the Drowned by herself. She was trying to buy time for the Flash, and the Flash comes after the Merciless, who has been occupied with pounding away on this infant universe, this infant Earth, that's being held in check so it can maintain its positive energy so that they can use it against the rest of the multiverse. Barry sneaks up on him, and I love this scene because this is what the Flash is all about, and I love the way that this was written, because when Flash rolls up, he literally just strolls up to the Merciless and says, yeah, hey, what's going on? The Merciless was so preoccupied that he didn't even know that Barry had come in that quickly and reverse the polarity of the infant universe. And before he can even ask the Flash what he just did, Barry says, I already did it. You blinked. Reversing the polarity is going to cause it to unleash its power, and the Red Death, when he arrives, is literally just a half second too late. And this blast hits the Red Death. And this is when we see one of the most badass things that you will probably see in this entire book. The Red Death turn into a reverse Flash. Because you got to remember that Barry and Bruce shared the same body, and the Barry of that Earth was merely just a passenger while Bruce was the pilot. Well, now everything's flipped, and Bruce is out of the picture, and Barry is in control. And now that they reversed, we now have, I guess, would it be the Yellow Death, Gold Death, Reverse Gold? I don't know, man. I'm still working on it. Since the Flash of Earth -52 is back in control, he's ready to help his fellow Flash out. He helps the Flash take down the Merciless. I mean, they drag his ass. For the first time probably since the Green Arrow number 32 tie-in for Dark Knight's Metal, this is the first time we've actually seen the group, the Justice League, with a leg up, like with any kind of hope, like a possibility, like a glimmer that, you know, everything is going to be okay. But this is Dark Knight's Metal, so you know that wasn't going to last long. Between these two Flashes, our Flash from Earth Prime and the Red Death, one of them is going to have to stay behind in order to continue the Infinite Universe's expansion so that they can get that energy, so that they can make it big enough so that the Dark Knights of the Dark Multiverse can't recapture it. And the thing is, they have to act fast because the carrier, the Batman Who Laughs, is riding, it's literally ripping through the positive multiverse and damaging these other worlds. And the further that carrier goes, the worse it's going to be for everybody else in the end. So they have to act fast. And the Red Death pretty much sacrifices himself. And this is where the Batman Who Laughs reveals that all of this, everything that's just happened, even him turning, was a part of the plan. And that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted the Red Death to give them one final taste of hope. And that's exactly what he did. And not just for the Justice League, it was for us too, the readers. because he knew that the Red Death would turn at some point, even though technically there was never any hint that he would. But I thought it was interesting that that was what happened. Like, I actually expected to be the Merciless, because he was really the only one who seemed to have any kind of actual real ties that still lived on Earth Prime, and I guess he still lived up to his namesake. The Batman Who Laughs tells the Red Death, you were only half of a Batman, so you only ever really knew half of the plan, and now I don't need you anymore. He destroys the Red Death. I really hated for him because, man, that suit was on point, man. I actually think I like him better as Gold Death than as Red Death. It's at this point, though, that we realize the Batman Who Laughs wasn't hunting them. Like, the Wild Hunt's kind of a misnomer. They weren't hunting Raven and Flash and Cyborg. That was not the point of this. They were leading them. He planned to use them as a way to poison the positive multiverse. All of those missiles that the Batman Who Laughs was having fired at the Ultimate Thule, all of them carried a dark baby universe, each of which was handpicked by Barbatos. So right now, the Ultimate Thule is just a poison dart heading straight into the heart of everything, the House of Heroes. Which, I don't think we've ever really talked about the House of Heroes, but long story short, it's basically a satellite that orbits the bleed space. And the Batman Who Laughs directs the carrier directly towards the House of Heroes to destroy it. Now, here's where something really interesting happens. Actually, I'm going to say two interesting things happen right here. The first thing, the Dawnbreaker picks up a communication. It's a message from Universe 53. And there is no Universe 53, but there is now. A new world has been formed, and I'm pretty sure it's the one that was the infant universe that they were keeping from forming. And the whole time, the Drowned and the Devastator, the Dawnbreaker, they're trying to tell the Batman Who Laughs, we need to get the hell out of Dodge. We need to get off the carrier, because if we're on it when this thing hits the House of Heroes, we're finished. But the Batman Who Laughs doesn't want to leave. He literally wants to see the destruction happen. We see the Dawnbreaker do something that doesn't really get addressed, like it almost kind of trails off. And he looks at his ring and he starts saying the Green Lantern motto. Because the whole time he's been in Dark Knight's Metal, his motto has not been in brightest day, in blackest night. His motto has been with darkness black, I choke the light. So this is actually a big thing. I think we're actually going to see more than just the Red Death turn. I think the Dawnbreaker is going to end up turning. Now, the other really cool thing that happens in this is that we see that guy in bandages get wheeled out again. And I told you guys, I was paying attention to the colors in the Batman Who Laughs one-shot, the origin story. And I said that, man, he doesn't look white. He looks like he's got some melanin in him. And a lot of you said that you thought that it was Hawkman, that you thought it was Carter Hall, or Shazam, or some other characters. And I mean, now I think I was really wrong by saying that it was Duke Thomas. I think I know who it is now, having read this book, because he refers, the Batman Who Laughs doesn't call out the name of the man in bandages, but he refers to him, the most powerful being in the multiverse, talking to him saying that I'll pull your cosmic eyelids off. He has to be someone on the cosmic spectrum, and so far the only character I can think of right now, and the only one he would actually want to witness this destruction, has to be Super Judge. So, because it seems weird that Grant Morrison would bring this character, wheel this character's name out, and not say anything, not let anything happen with it. So I'm calling it right now. I think that the man in bandages is Super Judge. I think it's Nix Uoden. I'm telling you, that's who I think it is. I mean, I could be wrong, but hey, I'm just saying. But needless to say, the Batman Who Laughs waits to the very last second. He waits until the carrier crashes into the House of Heroes. Now, once this happens, this is when we go back to what was going on Black Hawk Island. And this is where Bobo realized that everything was going way too smoothly. And he said that in order to get down to the bottom of things, a lot of times you can't just follow the rules. You can't just follow the beaten path. You have to improvise. And using up the last of his intelligence, he activates Red Tornado, because he knows Red Tornado may know something that they don't know. We haven't seen Red Tornado since the Dark Days prelude, and Red Tornado reveals pretty much what we kind of know by now, that this is all cyclical. These things have happened before and they fell into the trap. And the main issue here is that they brought back the darkness with them when they returned. So when Challenger's Mountain came back in Dark Knight's Metal #1, the darkness traveled back with them. Despite the fact that the House of Heroes is being destroyed, despite the fact that everything is going wrong, you gotta remember, Cyborg did say that someone responded to their mayday. And they called out to Mr. Bobo, the super chimps of Earth 53, the new Earth in the multiverse, which apparently full of chimpanzee and ape people. I guess this is a veritable Planet of the Apes. We have a ape Batman, or Bat Ape. We have a super ape, a aqua ape. I mean, the shit's bananas. This was the help that Cyborg saw coming. And it looks like they are going this direction, going forward into Dark Knight's Metal #6. I don't know how this is going to work. I really don't. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It is insane. I feel like Grant Morrison just Grant Morrisoned all over the place. And I'm not mad about it. It's actually really funny. And I guess because, you know what, we needed something lighthearted at the end of all this, because Dark Knight's Metal has been such a dour affair. But you know what, I'm excited for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this all ends in Dark Knight's Metal #6 next month. But let me know what you all thought about this. Let me know what you think about the Super Chimps. And do you think that we are going to see another Dark Knight flip from the dark side? And also, you know, give me some thoughts on what you think about my theory on Super Judge being the man under those bandages. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and tap the bell so you know when I post up. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Plus Ultra.